Hello, everyone. Welcome back to part two of where I am doing a little brief build through of the D7. So let's go ahead and get right back on to working on the nacelles, which is going to be the next part. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to delete these. Actually, I'm just going to delete one of these right here, and I'm going to center this. So let's go ahead and go into our objects and change the location. That's going to be on the x-axis. We go 0 to center it. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a mirror modifier. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So go into add modifier, the old trusty mirror modifier. Go into edit and bring it all over to here. Just like that. Let's go ahead and once again, because of some of the issues with the model, I'm just going to kind of split the difference, so to say. That looks just about right. All right, let's go ahead and delete this back portion here and just work on just this area. Okay. Now here I'm going to just do a little bit of, oops, of kind of guesstimation on trying to get to where these top and bottom pieces are matching up appropriately before I go ahead and do the rotation here. So we're going to go ahead and let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to scale along the z-axis and using, we're going to go ahead and try point 0.65. Let's do 0.65. There we go. And the reason why I'm using the number because I want to do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Scale Z 0.65. Go. Now we can go ahead and select these on the side, scale, and bring those down to 0 and move them in just a little bit. I did do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Okay, I know what I'm doing wrong. Need these right here. Darn it. Did I say that I apologize once again for if I make any errors and mistakes with the shortcuts here, because once again, I'm using a new 3D program. The 3D program that I'm using right now, not primarily, but the program that I'm using right now is, um, I'm using them for some different kind of projects outside of 3D modeling. It's actually more along the lines of 3D printing. And I got kind of the idea, darn it. And I actually got a pretty decent idea. Yeah, I only want these right here of how I can combine what I'm doing right now with Star Trek ships and with 3D modeling. So be looking forward to that. I don't want to go too much into it right now because I'm going to kind of do some tests on it, and if it's a complete failure, well, I don't want to, you know, kind of give y'all's hopes up and have y'all think it's like, oh, well, where is this that Daniel, the Rebel Dan promised or Daniel, so, but be looking forward to that. But anyways, long story short is that all of my shortcuts, I keep getting confused with this viewer program. So I'm making quite a few little mistakes. So you're probably going to see that quite a bit where I'm doing not necessarily what I want to do. All right, let's go ahead and real quick, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to select, let's see, we need to go ahead and kind of flatten. Oh, wait, no, okay. No, we're good. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that these here are flatten ZX0 SX0. Go. And I'm going to go ahead, bring this straight down, rotate it. Let's go ahead and try to get this to where this is going to match up. Add in a couple of additional edge loops here so we get some extra vertices to kind of help round this off a little bit. And as I mentioned in the last episode, is we're going to be more than likely applying a subdivision surface modifier on this. So if it doesn't look like that it's what we're wanting it, I mean, all right, I'm kind of in a thought process here. So if it's not quite the shape or as rounded off or beveled like we want it, you know, like this right here, that might look just a little bit too primitive. You know, it's going to smooth out once we put on that subdivision surface. So let's go back up to the front and bring this one off to the side. Go. Yeah, because right here, let's go back to here. Let's kind of work on rounding off this front portion here. So we're going to bring this in just ever so slightly. Let's do another extrusion. Bring it out right about there and shrink that down. Now I think I should be able to, I can round that off a little bit, but instead I'm just going to just put in additional edge loop and we're going to round that off right there. I'm going to select both of these and let's go ahead. Oh, you're not going to let me do it. Okay. Actually, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and select this one and scale that down a little bit more to give it a bit more of a rounded look. Let's do a Control F, and we want to go ahead and shade smooth all of those vertices there. All right, let's go ahead and do this back portion here. I was not able to find my original little model that I had. My youngest son happened to have gotten hold of it, and he doesn't remember exactly what he did with it. So that's kind of making things just a little bit difficult for me to try to figure out, you know, exactly how some of this is supposed to look. Yeah, I'll figure that out. See, that's the back portion. See, this doesn't seem like it translates what I'm seeing here. No, it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to save that for a little bit later. So let's go ahead and move up to this back portion here. And let's see, do I have the top on this side? Yes, I do. So let's go ahead and work on the, I think this is the shuttle bay, if I remember correctly, if I remember looking at the plans properly. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Bring this in. Start just kind of just moving everything along. Let's see. What does that give me if I go right there? Let's try to bring that in. Let me, oh, I won't be able to see it from the front. Let's go back up to the top. Oh, and let's go ahead and do this number right now. So I only got to work on one side. So again, our little trusty mirror modifier. Clipping, go. Add in. Let's go ahead and work on trying to curve. Give this thing a nice little curve. Go. Okay, actually, is this accurate? Maybe. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue adding on a couple of additional edge loops here to kind of get this rounded off just a little bit more. So I probably should have thought about this a little bit more. Okay, now this next portion here, I'm going to do something just a little bit radical. So bear with me here. This is either going to be a this is either going to be a complete success or a complete failure. So bear with me here. Okay. Scale Z0. You know what? No, I don't like that. Well, we could fix this. Let's go ahead, and I should have, yeah, two sets of vertices right there. So let's go ahead and do an Alt-M on both of those to combine those. There we go. So we got that. Now here, what I'm going to go ahead and do, this might be just a bit too radical. You're not interesting. Let's see. What I want to do is add that one worked. Go ahead and let's do this. Go in. No, I want to go to the last two. Bring these all in. Kind of a roundabout way of doing it, but heck if it works. It's probably a little bit easier than me trying to go back and delete everything. Let's go ahead and see, just take a look at just this model that we're needing. This part of the mesh that we're needing, and continue just clicking, and we'll combine them. There we go. And voila. I think that's given us something. Let's go ahead, bring in all of these again to the top, back in edit mode, and let's go ahead and make it to where we can see through the whole thing. Now I can do this because we haven't quite done any modifications back to here. Go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's starting to look like what we see in the shoe. Let's see, back, is this the back? Yes, this is the back. Okay. Let me see. Once again, now I really starting to wish that I did have my model. I'm definitely going to need to try working on fleshing all that out, but let's go ahead, go back to our right mode, go back to our top. Let's kind of work on these little details here. So go in edit mode. Let's go ahead. Now these remarkably look very simple. Let's see, top. Oop, nope, not camera. One top. There you go. Let's actually bring that up just a little bit. Let's get splitting the difference. And press G twice to kind of bring that in to try to match that angle as much as possible. Now here, probably need to add in another edge loop right about there. Yeah, I put the edge loop on the wrong one. All right, there we go. Right about there. Now here, I am going to do a Shift K. Oops. Let's just go ahead and I think that did it through the whole thing. Let's see. No, it didn't. Oops, sorry. You know what? Let's just do it this way. Actually, no, I don't like doing it that way. Let's go back to doing the way I was doing it. F, K. Still not going through all of it, but don't worry, we can work with that. Let's go back to our right. And let's try to scale both of those. Whoops. Scale Y0. There we go. See, is that a separate model? No, it's not. But, oh well, I can do it this way. Watch this. I'm going to move that over into that layer so I can work on that separately. There we go. All right, back in edit mode. And now here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just to keep this to where it's, let's see. Oh, nope, that still didn't do it. But okay, wait a minute. Then that means I should be able to, let's go into this. Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Let me see. Let me just go ahead and tell you what, let's do this. Let's go to the left. And haha, there we go. Got it. I figured you out. I figured you out, Blender. All right, let's go back to our right. Let's go ahead, bring in back in this model here. And let's go into a face select. Select all of these faces, but nope, nope, not that one. You right. Let's go ahead and do an extrude, a scale. Let's see, view right. There. And let's look at it from the front. And there. And there's that little detail. Got some cleaning up that we need to do in the back. No big deal. But yeah, it's once again starting to kind of look like something. So let's bring back in all of the models. Nacelles are starting to look pretty good. Yeah, that's starting to look like something. I mean, once again, starting to look more and more like the, the D7 that we all know and love. Let's go ahead. Okay, we're already in the front. Let's go ahead and work on some of these small little details right here real quick. Let's go into edit mode, go back into here, make sure, yeah, we can see everything. Now let's see. Oops. Try to get it to where that matches that. I'm going to go ahead and delete those vertices there, put in another vertex there, and scale that out to kind of help give that a little bit more of a rounded look. Once again, I know I'm probably doing a more too roundabout of a way of getting this effect, but it's part of modeling is, it's you do whatever works the best for you. I mean, it's just like with anything else. I mean, I'm more of an artist, with drawing and everything than with anything else. I mean, even with 3D, I mean, y'all are probably seeing that more now than ever because I've seen a lot of good 3D artists on YouTube, and I'm not necessarily one of them. I might have a better way of probably explaining things down and bringing them down to layman's terms, but I'm by no means am a good modeler, so to say. I'm more of a good of an artist though, but some people tell me, well, how is it that you draw so good? And can you teach me? And it's like, well, I can teach you, but I kind of taught myself. I found my own way of doing things, and I just been kind of just you know working on it with that. Taking that and running from it. I mean, it's the takeaway is just do what works for you. Because what works for me might not necessarily work for everybody else. You just find your own way of doing things. You're kind of your own little niche, your own, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's it's kind of like what I tell a lot of my students. I mean, I don't know if y'all probably know this about me, but my name, Bebel Dan, is partially because I am a martial arts instructor as well. But I tell all my own students that I could teach you martial arts, but one thing that why we have so many different styles of martial arts out there is because you have somebody at one point in time that took a martial arts that they learned and mm, you know they kind of molded it and created it to kind of be their own. They took out what they did not like, and they put in some things that kind of worked for them. And that's how you got Brazilian jiu-jitsu from jiu-jitsu. I mean, the Japanese jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's where that came from. And taekwondo came from, you know some people would probably be mad at me for this, but it did come from karate, of all places. In fact, that's what it was called originally, was before it even had the name taekwondo, was it was Japanese karate. you know because that's what a lot of but that's it was people that learned karate, and they were it's like, well, this doesn't work for me, and I like this, but I don't like that, so let me go ahead and change a couple of things around and kind of make it my own. And then you know then you got taekwondo. A lot of the styles of kung fu, it was kind of the same thing. That's why you have so many different styles. So it's the same thing with an artwork. You come up with an art style, or what works for you, or a way of doing things and what works for you, and then you go with it. A lot of I do know a lot of popular artists, that's kind of what happened to them. I mean, is, they got famous or they got popular, because they kind of went against the norms. I want to say it was probably Picasso. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm sure there's some art majors out there that are going to correct me on this, but I think it was Picasso. But he was actually taught, went to school and was taught, do art this particular way, do art this particular way. But he kept on wanting to do it his way, and that's why I'm thinking it's Picasso, because I know he has a very, how should I say, you know, unique art style. And he was very adamant about wanting to do it his way, not necessarily the way that he was being, everybody was telling him, it's like, no, you got to do it this way, not don't do it that way. Nobody's ever going to like your artwork if you do it this way. But look at what happened to him. I mean, he's, if it is indeed the one guy that I'm thinking of. So just once again, take away from this is that use kind of my tutorials or walkthroughs and stuff as a guide, but don't necessarily take it as gospel, because you just do it your way, do whatever works for you. Some, let's say, different ways of modeling is, some people like to put in a bunch of primitives first and then work with that, and then but then you also have the extrusion method where you lay down, you know, one little primitive, and then you just extrude everything from that. And then there's other ways of where you lay down a bunch of primitives, but then you combine them using, you know, Control J, or using Boolean operations to combine all the primitives together then into one single mesh. It's like if you go back to what I did with the first episode and had all of these put together, you would go in and you would put in, a lot more little squares and circles and stuff until you get the what you want, and then you Boolean them all together, and then you start working from that. And that works for some people, but doesn't necessarily work for me. So I'm going to have to take a little bit of a break here, but I'll come back and we'll do a little bit more work and see what our progress see where our progress is at, and probably call it the episode. So give me a few minutes, I'll be right back.